ladies. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I know it's a women's home ownership event, but all are welcome. So, woo! Give yourself a round of applause. So my name is Vanessa Montañez, and I am part of NAWRB, the National Association of Women in Real Estate Businesses. This organization is founded by Desiree Patno. She'll be here momentarily. But this was her vision. She is the leading voice of women in the housing ecosystem. And essentially, we want to have a voice on homeownership because homeownership helps us propel into our careers, into our lives, and bring stability. So this was her vision, and she'll talk a little bit more about it, but I just wanted to let you know a little bit of background. The organization was founded about 9 years ago. It's going to be launching its 10-year anniversary next year. And it's gone from A to Z. I mean, she has a voice in the White House. She's brought up diversity. We also did the 2017 Women's Home Ownership Report, which is exclusively for women, how they're getting more educated, going to college, becoming homeowners. Did you know that last year, ladies, women power here, women bought 17% of all the homes out there, compared to single men, that was 7%. So that really says we're moving the needle in the right direction. So that was a statistic according to NAWRB, the National Association of Realtors. So this is why I love this organization. I am part of it. I've been part of it for 3 years. And I'm also the co-chair for the inclusion and diversity piece. Because just like us women, we want all women to be in the boardrooms. Okay, but enough about NAWRB. The real reason we're here is to talk about home ownership and how it can make one of your American dreams come true. With that, I do want to introduce a near and dear friend of mine, Hyepin. She is an amazing founder, CEO of KCCD and FACE, the Korean Community Development Corporation. I've actually known her on a professional level, I want to say maybe 8 years because of my career. I'm a lender and I do a lot of work in the community. But more than that, she's a leader in her community in Los Angeles, in the Korean church, in Washington, D.C. She's just an advocate for housing, period. She's a powerhouse and the most humble person I know. I just went to one of her conferences and I came out there so empowered, and I am humbled that you're here to talk to us and empower us with a little bit of your knowledge. So Hyepin, if you can please come up. She will be our next speaker for the agenda, and she'll talk a little bit about
Good morning, or good afternoon. Well, you know, they say the early bird gets the worm, and the fact that you guys are here investing your time to learn how to become a homeowner is something that I believe will bring great returns. Our organization is in transition to a new name. So we started off 16 years ago with the vision of helping to create community, which actually has the lowest home ownership rate in LA County. So contrary to the model minority myth, there are many subgroups in the Asian community that are struggling. And so I grew up with my parents being in ministry, and they thought they were gonna, you know, preach the gospel, lead people to Christ. And they did do that, but they also ended up being really unpaid social workers in terms of the need being so great in the congregation and the community that they help people connect with housing, with healthcare services, job opportunities. But then I saw them struggle because they had limited access and resources and didn't have the know-how. And so I always thought there should be a better way. And then I grew up and I got to know a very prominent African-American church. And when they partnered with the broader community, when there's entities like the National Association of Women Real Estate Brokers or NAWRB or area government corporations, they were able to, beyond their $3 million offering, it was a big church, they brought in an additional $12 million through that partnership. And so with that, they helped a lot of people with housing, jobs, you know, you could imagine, and their impact was very impressive. And they were able to bring their faith light into spaces that normally are not present. And they were also able to help a lot of people. And so with that, I thought, shoot, I love this model. It's a win-win-win. how can I learn this and bring it to our community? And long story short, in 2001, we started our organization. And we started off with the Korean community, but it kept on growing because we weren't necessarily saying, oh no, not you. But we brought everyone, welcomed everyone. And so in the recent, this year, we are transitioning into a new name called Faith and Community Empowerment, FACE. And it's bringing the face of God through service and lifting those who are faceless. And with that, we started with housing. And we partnered with the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. And we learned about this great program in which the city was helping people with over $120,000 in down payment assistance. And I thought, gosh, I wonder how many people know about that in our community. And so from there, we went on to so many other programs. And so you'll see some of those courses and programs that we provide as well. And I have to share a little success story. And you know, I think in some ways, for some of you are probably already homeowners, but for others, homeownership seems like the impossible dream. And I have to say that that impossible dream can become a reality. And I can share some success stories and some resources that we have found along the way. For us, we are a HUD-approved housing counseling agency, and so our curriculum is approved in such a way that when you go through our 8-hour homebuyer education class, that you will be able to get a certificate that will qualify you for some of the down payment assistance programs that are developed by government agencies, as well as special bank loan programs, as well as some of the pros and cons assistance as well. But we're not the only agency. There's a number of agencies across the county and the country as well. We're also able to provide that via online if you cannot physically come in person. But I have to say, when I first started, we said, you know what? Let's not reinvent the wheel. Let's go to another community, find out how they did it, right? So we went to the fair. We saw who were the speakers, the sponsors, the partners, grabbed all their cards, right? And then we called them the next month. Again, got their cards, right? And we said, we're so-and-so, and we want to do this for the Korean community, love to invite you to come. And one of them, they flat out denied that they do homeownership fairs. So they were trying to blow us off, right? And technically, they were correct, because they were going through their financial institutions, but really they're just trying to blow us up. And in many ways for you guys, as you're going on this journey, there's going to be a lot of no's, right? They're going to blow you off, but you don't give up. And so long story short, we brought them all into the room of our fair, somehow, lots of prayers, and over 600 people came. And at the time, a lot of the financial institutions were doing credit score checks. And so we got one of the banks to do that, and 125 decided to do it. And you know what? Out of the 125, they told us 95% had credit scores over 750. And you know what that means, especially banks, because when I shared it with the banks, they're going ching ching ching. It's like, oh my gosh, here's a community that's untapped, unserved, and we could make a lot of money. We could service them, but we're going to make a lot of money, right? And so that financial institution, the one that said they don't do homeownership fairs, by our second fair, they came to us and they said, here, we want to give you $45,000 so you can hire a full-time staff that could get certified so that you could issue those certificates all year long. Right? So that was one of our success stories, and since then we've come this far. So again, I want to encourage you, don't get discouraged. There will be no's along the way, but you just keep moving forward. And we've won many awards, including our the Hope Award, which is a very prestigious award from the industry, from the National Association of Realtors. And actually our HUD intermediary, who's our boss, actually, I invite them as our guests, and then on the program booklet, they were on kind of the wait list for people to be honored. So it's like, wow, sometimes you're the underdog, and sometimes, you become the winner. And I was hoping, is that right here? You are, okay. I was hoping that she would speak, with the big picture, but just real quickly, you'll see that the home ownership rate in the past was at 70%, but recently it's at 62.9%. And then in California, it's even lower, around 54%. And just to kind of give you some picture, the median home price exceeds $400,000, and as of January 2017 is $489,000, a little over that, right? So you know how much money you're going to need to afford that? A little over $91,000. I don't know about you, but that's a lot of money, right? But don't get discouraged. There's some great programs that could help fill that gap, especially women power, right? And so I want to just share with you a couple of stories. One is that this lady right here was one of the early individuals that we helped to get into a home. And she had been here in the U.S. less than 5 years. And she had a son. Does she have her son here? Yeah, I think that's she had two sons. And her husband had kind of an on and off income. But her son had disability. And it was just her dream that she could have a home with a backyard where her son with disability could play with his older brother freely and safely. And so she started to seek answers. And everywhere is like, no, 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 no. And she had read of our program through the newspaper, and she came to us. And as we were in the process of helping her, her father-in-law from South Korea, I guess somehow had heard about her trying to do this, and was calling her to say, there's no such thing as free money, stop wasting your time, right? And was completely discouraging her, but she didn't give up. And long story short, with a lot of different down payment assistance programs, we were able to help her get into a home with over $170,000 in down payment. At the same time, I want to tell one more story. It's my mom, and at the time there was no down payment assistance program. But I think this is where your friends, and especially these days, there's crowdsourcing funding as well, and then a little bit of prayer and miracle, right? So at the time, my parents were working a minimum wage jobs. This is in the 70s. Early 80s. And no, let me go back. Late 70s. And so they were making like $3.15 or something like that per hour. And my mom would get up like 3 in the morning, get up early, go to early morning church prayer, and then go to overtime. Before she went, she would pack, the lunches for the kids and, my dad, and then go to work and come back, and then prepare dinner, and then go to church. I mean, at the time she wasn't a pastor, so I was very active at church. So, doing all this process, and then my mom's sister, so Ann, came and said, hey, we're doing model homes and, mobile homes, and you should come and check it out. And so we started to check it out, but really we still couldn't afford it. And long story short, my mom has a gift of vision. She had a dream. And she saw my dad's name outside this house with kind of in Korea, like houses are marked in Chinese characters, not Korean characters, Chinese characters, to indicate whose home it is. And it's usually the name of the male. And she saw in this vision my dad's name in Chinese characters. And when she went in, there was the living room. And to the right, when you entered, there was the master bedroom, and there was an older gentleman there. And to the left, when you went, was the kitchen. Long story short, my piano teacher was moving away. And she was taking care of her dad. But basically, her sister lived right across the street, and she was kind of wealthy. And long story short, my piano teacher said, you know what, I want to sell my home to you, my mom. And my sister will be able to lend you some money. And in addition, my mom's co-worker lent her also $5,000, and then my uncle supposedly had some money hidden away from the IRS that he needed to put away somewhere, which is like another $5,000 or $10,000, I don't know. So long story short, with all that money assistance, she was able to get into, it was a 4-bedroom home, and truly, like I said, when When we walked in, it was my piano teacher's dad that had lived there. I mean, he moved out before we moved in, but and to the left was the kitchen, in the middle was the living room. So I just want to say, here are a couple of examples of story of women who are leading the way, right, and getting into homes that were literally impossible. But with help of friends and resources and expertise along the way, they were able to get into the home. Okay? So I just want to go over some down payment assistance programs. Some of the weeds, you'll get to know more when you go into the home buyer education class and the one-on-one counseling session. So don't feel overwhelmed. Just kind of get the big picture. So one of the things that you might get confused is a lot of times they say first-time home buyer, right? But the thing is that know that you could still be a first-time home buyer if you had not filed for interest deduction on your tax return in the last 3 years. So you could be kind of a resurrected, reborn first-time home buyer. Okay, so don't get discouraged. And then actually there are also certain programs that you don't have to be low income. You could be able to qualify for certain programs in certain census tracts where that qualify as low income as well. And then there are also recent programs that I discovered that will just cover anyone. So again, it's really important to not give up, right? Go through those home buyer education classes and learn, from the different associations and the housing counseling agencies what those options may be. Okay, so understood that? And then a lot of times there's different kinds of down payment assistance programs. There's just like free money, right? You won't have to pay back. And then there's also a certain down payment that stays, it's called silent second. So you don't make the payment for that portion, right? Because while you have the house, until you refinance or you sell the house. Did you get that? Because usually when you buy a house, there's a mortgage, not every person has $400,000 in their pocket in cash, right? So you usually take out the loan, right? And usually there's an interest payment with that loan, right? But through the down payment assistance program, through the silent second, let's just say it's $400,000, you have a mortgage that's $300,000, you got $100,000 that's to pay for that $100,000 while you are living in that house or until you refinance. So your interest payment and obviously your mortgage payment will decrease. So it allows you to buy a bigger home or a lower down payment, lower mortgage payment. Got it? And here are some other names. Honestly, when I first started out and we were trying to reach out to the Korean community, like soft second. I don't know, even for me, I lived in the United States over 40 years. What is a soft second, right? I just say free money, kind of, for buying a house, right? And so, but here are some of the other names for the down payment assistance program. So I already shared about that. And I just want to highlight that there are different programs in every city, every county. So in the city of Los Angeles, it's called Hyepin. And for County of Los Angeles, it's called the Homeownership Program, HOP. And then in Orange County, it's called MAP. But let's just say you're in San Bernardino, they have programs as well. Okay. So for City of LA, it's $60,000. But you know what? And it was, so let me say again. So for the longest time in the recent years, it was just for low income. But starting this year, they also reintroduced the program that existed in the past for moderate income and I guess moderate income as well. So this is a new resource that they have brought back. When we first started back in 2002, they did have low income and then moderate income and then is it high moderate income? I'm trying to recall the technical stuff. Usually my counselors are the ones that teach this as well. So you kind of understand, and there's some qualifications of kind of the pricing of the homes that you need to buy in areas as well. So here are some, like the first time home buyer, like a lot of people see this, and they would just say, oh, I had bought a home a long time ago, and you would self-disqualify yourself. But because you guys are here, you learn what the definition of a first time home buyer is, right? So you're getting in on the game. As I mentioned, the 8-hour home buyer education classes, and there's agencies like our organization and others who are HUD approved that could issue that 8-hour certificate, right? You need to occupy the property, you're not an investor, right? And then they have to meet certain income requirements as well as legal residence. And they need to contribute 1%. So again, even here, again, it's navigating the system. So if you know that you're going to buy a home, right? And the thing is that the city is going to look at your record to determine where your 1% comes. Well, if your aunt or uncle is going to give you that money, right? Put it in there and keep it there for a year, right? So it looks like it's your money. I don't know if I'm being recorded here. But you know what I'm saying? There's a way to kind of navigate, right? The nuances of such, right? So that you can qualify. Okay. And then there was something called MCC, but with the recent Trump budget situation, you don't need to know today, just that there is another program that allows you to help reduce your payment as well. But right now, because of the Trump budget, we don't know what's going to happen. Okay? But here are some examples for low income. Right? So if you're a family of 4, you could potentially have up to $72,100. Maybe, just if you have more income than that, like bring a niece over to your family. Adopt a daughter, So, okay. And then through the state, there's also kind of an additional down payment assistance program that could be layered with the city's down payment assistance program. So again, they require only 3.5%. So there's a lot of, again, ways that you can help navigate as well. And then there's also special programs, for example, for teachers, for police officers, school employees. So again, it's not just through CalHFA, but banks. Like for example, one of the banks, they have a doctor's program. So if you could imagine, students who graduated from med school, they have this huge debt, right? And so probably many of them will say, gosh, you know what, I'm not going to be able to afford a house. But because banks know that they will have this income stream, they will discount, they will not count the debt when they're calculating if you'll qualify for the mortgage.
That's only for doctors?
Well, so there's, again, different programs, but specifically for that one is a doctor's program. So I'm kind of answering your question. The one that I know for where they're discounting the debt is for doctors. But they have, again, special programs for police officers, veterans, etc.
Priests, everything. Yeah.
Hmm?
I said for priests too.
Priests? Are you serious? Okay, I gotta find out about. See, that's why you gotta come to these kind of events. You learn what you don't know, right? Okay. And so for CalHFA, the income limits are a little bit more, they allow for more income. So again, each of the programs have different programs. I mentioned about some of the different bank programs. So there is a WISH program from some of the key banks. Not all the banks have it, but it's a 3-to-1 match. So if you have 5,000, boom, an instant 15,000 could be matched. Right? But if you have 2,000, it could be 3-to-1, so they'll add the 6,000. Did I say 3,000? Did I say 3,000?
2,000.
2,000, yeah, it'll be 6,000. If it's 3, it'll be 9,000, right? I guess I'm doing my math. So again, just a lot of different programs, and a lot of people think that you have to have 20% down, but that is not necessarily true. And these days, a lot of programs are allowing 5%, 3%, and even lower.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. It says it's home loan, but then it says a grant. So you don't have to pay that back, or do you pay it back?
This one, you don't have to pay back.
Okay.
So like the city's program, you do pay back, but for this one, it's a freebie.
Free money.
Free money. And then again, there are different nonprofits who have partnered with banks or with government agencies, which allow for individual development accounts, which is again another matching program. And so here's a website that you could go to find out of agencies nearby. And then if you're really down and under, there's a great agency called Habitat for Humanity in which you contribute your labor hours, your family hours, sweat equity to all. I mean, you still need to have put some money, but this really allows you to get into the home. Again, each program, there's some different takes. So in terms of like the city, the LISA program, if there's increase in the value, there's kind of a shared, what is it? When the value increases, you divide the increase in value.
Shared equity.
Shared equity as well.
The NST program, something like that, the NST program?
The National Stabilization Program, so that was a program through the federal government in which different nonprofits and city agencies were able to apply, and they were able to then invest in, buy foreclosed homes, turn it around, and be able to then offer to the community to be able to purchase homes in terms of with great value. So again, I'm just kind of highlighting a few. You should take, it's 8-hour class, right? I'm only doing it in like 25 minutes, right? So, and I know that someone else is going to go over some of these areas. I just want to highlight very quickly that about credit history and credit. And then that credit is something that's going to be very key to your ability to purchase a home. But again, I know that someone else after me, I think Vanessa, will be covering that as well. So I'm just going to highlight that, as mentioned, some of the down payment programs you could have as 3%, FHA loans as low as 0.5% down payment. So again, but they all have credit score requirements. But again, even there, don't get discouraged, right? A lot of reasons that people get denied: high debt, insufficient funds, low appraisal, poor credit ratings. So this is very important, so you'll pay attention when it's covered. But I do want to highlight this area. Vanessa, are you going to cover this?
Go for it.
So just to understand, I mean, this was a mystery for me too. It's like, how do they determine your credit score? But like, here's a perfect the answer, cheat sheet. So for example, your payment history, 35% goes towards that. Length of credit history. So if you've had for 1 year versus 10 years, that makes a difference. New credit increase, you know, a lot of times, you know, you go to department stores, they say, oh, you know, we'll give you a credit card, you know, and so every time they pull your report, your score goes down. So just, you gotta be careful of that as well. And the types of credit that you use and the amount of outstanding debt. So my understanding is that, like, if you use more than 30% of your credit balance, that limit that you have, then they start knocking down your credit score. Right? So just be aware of some of the, I don't know the secret. All right, and in the ideal world, 700 to 750 is the good score, or great score. But, you know, if you're in this range between 670 to 739, you know, you're still good. You know, you can still get in there. And then 580 to 669 is like questionable. Definitely if you're under 579, that's really tough. You need to pray a lot. But no, not just pray a lot, but there's a lot of things that you can do. So, like I said, you know, these are just some common issues with, you know, that impact your credit score. Whether it's bankruptcies, right, or past due credit collections, things like that will definitely impact your report. And here are some things that shows how long it sticks with you. So you want to try to minimize and avoid these situations, right? Judgments, student loans, inquiries, negative information, bankruptcies. So how do you improve your credit score? Bottom line, just I would say if you could make your payment on time, that's like, out of all the takeaways, that will be one of the best, right? Like I said, yes.
If you have a dispute it after you pay it. That's the number one thing that kills your credit is that you worry about the $50 fee, and it can kill you in hundreds of thousands of dollars of payment over the course of the lifetime of the loan.
Thank you, Des. So, and again, you could go to your formal credit counseling agencies, but normally, like the homeownership counseling agencies can give you guidance for things that are not major. So just want to, and to be able to give you contact numbers for the 3 credit score companies, right, and how to write a letter to dispute if you have some bills that really doesn't belong to you. And it is a given that they're inaccurate. Your credit score report will be full of inaccurate information. So you should definitely look at it and study it. Okay? Oh, so just one last piece is that around credit, you know, a lot of people, they're new immigrants, or they don't want to use credit card, and so they don't have credit history. But particularly with certain banks, and with recent trends, there are different ways to be able to also be able to see that you are credit worthy. At the end of the day, they're lending you money. They want to know, hey, will you pay them back, right? That's true for any of us when we're lending money. Are you going to pay me back, right? And so they will look at some other, whether it's bills or other things that might be able to do it. But again, there's even credit card companies that you prepay, right? So let's just say you have to give them $500, and then you use it as a way to then build your credit. So there's different resources that are available as well. I thought this was neat. Importance of saving. Like if you save $2 every day, why isn't that working? 2% interest after 2 years, you get $1,500, right? So you think, oh, $2, like what difference would it make? But actually, it's quite a debt. You could go to Europe, or I don't know, do some stuff, right? So just that. And here are some resources. The Freddie Map Credit Smart is a curriculum that's online, and you could also download. And it has great information. I just highlighted some of the things that we're also incorporate there as well as through our education curriculum. But it's like knowledge is power, right? And I also want to just highlight, Vanessa, did you distribute the handout?
Yes, I did.
Oh, okay, so in the flyer, I think, you guys are here for homeownership, but whether it's yourself or maybe people around you are going through foreclosure or about to go to foreclosure, if they lost their job or their business income is low, has gone down, or maybe they're underwater, upside down. A lot of them, they're behind their payments. There's a program, great program called Keep Your Home California, and where we could help families with over 18 months of mortgage. It's an amazing program. And so I just want to highlight that is in the flyer. And with low modifications, this was an amazing story. I said, hey, maybe I want that kind of help. What happened was a recent client, they had not paid their mortgage since 2010. I don't know how they survived since 2010, and we were able to help them modify the loan and be able to reduce their mortgage payment by several $100s, and their interest rate went down to 4%. And at the end of the day, in 20, 30 years, they do have a balloon payment, but along the way, they could refinance, they could sell the house. Like, there's a lot of things that they could do, but now they have the sense of comfort, right, in knowing that they're not going to lose their home as well. So these are just various success stories that are available, and that service is free. And one more thing was, I guess, debt consolidation is another one. A lot of people who are in that situation, they probably have also run up their credit and probably paying very high interest rates because they probably default. I mean, they've not paid their payments on time, etc. So we have also a partnership in which we're able to help reduce the interest rate. And basically, they're maybe paying 16%, 12%, whatever. Is through our partner is pre-locked in to like 7% or whatever it may be. And instead of paying over 30 years, you could reduce it to 5 years. So it's a great resource and great program. So with that, I'm going to close, and I just want to say thank you. And again, don't forget to dream that impossible dream, because there's a lot of people in the room that can help you along the way. Thank you. Thank you.